Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to spend some time with me on the video today. We are going to be talking about finesse crankbait fishing in the fall time of the year because, in my opinion, guys, it's sort of like between late September and early November is probably one of the best times of year to fish these downsized crankbaits. And I've got three of my favorite downsized small crankbaits here we're going to talk about in today's video, and I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on not only how to fish them, but the type of areas that you want to fish them in and why they work so good this time of year. So we'll get into that in today's video. Okay guys, we got three different crankbaits here I'm going to go over, and each one of them sort of has a specific situation. And also guys, every one of these little crankbaits I'm talking about, I'll link them in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video. If you use that link to purchase these crankbaits at Tackle Warehouse, not only you can get them at a discount right now, it's also a really good way to support the channel. So I'll link all three of these baits in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video. Okay, the first one, guys, this is a little called a bait finesse Griffon, Megabass bait finesse Griffon. This is a tiny crankbait. It's only like an inch long. Guys, this is a limit getter right here. If you're struggling and having a hard time catching them, you put this little bait finesse Griffon on here and you will get bit on it for sure. And don't let the size fool you guys, because the fall time of the year is one time of the year that a downsized lure still catches quality fish simply because of the way the bass are positioned and their mood that they have that time of year. But that's also cool about this little Griffon here, guys. You can catch, just for fun, you catch white bass, you catch crappie with it, you catch walleye with it. It catches everything that swims in the lake. It's got a fairly tight wobble on it. The bait finesse here, I usually use it on a spinning rod, 8-pound test Seaguar and Vizex line. And on a long cast, you're going to knock down probably about 5 foot of water here. But I like to target sort of that 2 to 4 foot zone with this bait. Now, this is a really good bait when you have sort of a combination of rock and wood cover, because this little Griffon, it deflects off the wood really good too. It deflects off rock, but you can throw it like on the limbs of a laydown tree and it'll crawl over it and deflect. So I really like this bait when I'm fishing rocky banks that have occasional laydown trees or stumps on it. It's really, really good for that. And most of the time, the water visibility in it, depending upon the color that I use, because they got a bunch of different colors at Tackle Warehouse. This is probably one of my favorite ones here. But I really like that water visibility to be anywhere between, like, say, 1 foot to maybe 2 feet. 1 to 2 feet is perfect for it. And a lot of lakes have that type of clarity. So you need a little bit of off-colored water simply to position those fish in a little bit shallower with that. But little bait finesse Griffon, this is one of the smallest crankbaits on the market, guys. But this is a fall time killer. Late summer into fall, this is when this bait really excels here. Okay, the next one, guys, is one that I've talked about quite a bit on this channel because it is one of the best fall time crankbaits. It's good in the pre-spawn, but it's really good in the fall, is the Megabass Flap Slap. This is a flat-sided shad imitating crankbait. You can see it's pretty flat. Looks exactly like a threadfin shad, guys. This is like unbelievable looking. Actually, the biggest limit I ever caught in a tournament, I caught 25 pounds 7 ounces at Lake Gunnersville on this exact lure. In fact, this exact color right here. And I clued Edwin Evers on it. Edwin Evers on this bait when he joined Megabass, and he did really good. He was leading the Bassmaster Classic on it at Gunnersville too. But this is a really good fall bait around riprap. If you guys have riprap banks that have some type of off-colored water on it, absolute killer. So that riprap banks that are sort of in that 1 to 3 foot visibility, really, really good. Now the Flap Slap, guys, I do fish it on a bait caster. Normally I'll use it on about 10-pound test line. And this is not a very good deflection bait off of wood. It is a rock type of a bait. And also, this is a bait where you don't really want it to hit the bottom. You want it to stay just off the bottom. And I fish it sort of like a cross between a jerkbait and a crankbait in the fall time of the year. So say, for example, I'll throw it down that riprap bank there, and I'll reel it like this, and I'll reel it down 3 or 4 cranks, and then I'll just pull it like that and reel it and pull it. Sometimes I'll twitch it a couple times like a jerk bait. And this is a bait that I like to get the fish to come up on, so I try to keep it a little bit shallower. But really, really good on riprap. It's also really, really good if you got some shallow emergent vegetation. So all you guys that fish like the TVA lakes, any lake in Florida that has some submergent grass, maybe some of your Texas lakes, really, really good cranking this thing around grass edges in the fall time of the year. Okay, and the next one, guys, the final one, is a fairly new one from Megabass. This is the IXI finesse crankbait here from Megabass. Guys, this thing right here, if you have a lake that has boat docks in it, and you fish this thing in October and you have water visibility in those docks between 1 to 3 feet, I can promise you this little IXI will catch every dang fish off of a boat dock that you got. This is a deadly bait on boat docks. I'll take it, usually put it on 10-pound test line. I like to fish it on a spinning rod because you can fish it on a casting rod, but with a spinning rod, I can make a lot more precise presentations on those docks. I just cast it down the front of the docks, down the side of the docks. You know, it runs about probably 3 feet deep on the 8 to 10-pound line. It'll run a little bit deeper on a long cast. But in the fall time of the year, especially when that water level starts falling and those fish move more to those docks, this little IXI is freaking deadly on that. Also, this is another really good riprap bait. Like the flap slap. Flap slap is a little bit larger. So, you know, I like to use a flap slap on riprap if you have a little bit of wind, making those fish a little bit more aggressive. But on the tougher fishing days, when you don't have much wind and it's a little brighter, this little IXI crank down riprap banks in the fall time of the year, really, really good. Also just on any rock bank, you know, just, you know, some type of channel bank, some type of 45-degree angle rock bank, casting this thing down there, really, really good. Doesn't deflect that really good off of wood. It's not that, I don't really use it as a wood bait. It's more of a rock, gravelly, small, pebbly type rock. You know, even clay banks can be really good. But anyway, guys, those are the three right there I'd recommend if you want to get into some fall cranking, finesse cranking. Megabass flap slap, the bait finesse Griffon, which is freaking awesome, guys, and the IXI Megabass right here. So one thing I will tell you about this, guys, you can, with these finesse crankbaits in the fall time of the year, you can go behind guys. If you have a heavy fishing pressure, you can go behind people with these little finesse crankbaits, and you can catch fish right behind somebody fishing in more of a traditional, you know, normal lure. They are really good in heavily fished waters, places where the bass are finicky, bright, you know, tough fishing conditions, like after a front goes through where it's real bright out with not much wind. Put you a little finesse bait on, definitely gets you a lot of bites. So anyway, guys, I'll link everything in my tackle warehouse link in the description. Hope it helps you guys catch a bunch of fish. So we'll talk later.